Hello and welcome to the Performance Lifestyle Podcast, where we learn how to live our lives like the pros. My name is John Allen Mollenhauer. My friends call me John Allen or by my initials JAM, and I hope you will too. Today I want to talk a little bit about the tagline for a performance lifestyle, which is crush it without getting crushed. This is a signature talk that I do all over the place. I talk about this idea on webinars. I talk about this idea when I do signature speeches. I talk about this idea when I'm meeting someone, one-to-one or even at a networking event. That's what we do in a performance lifestyle. We learn how to crush even our most ambitious goals without getting crushed by excess stress, pain, and fatigue, so that we can live in balance with vibrant health and peace of mind while doing what we're meant to do and serve in the world, right? Like the big goals that we have in the world, these ambitious goals that are driving us, that are calling us forward. It's one thing to achieve them, but doing so while driving yourself into the ground, into overwhelm, exhaustion, and the overweight condition, and overeating and undernourishing your body and being super busy and physically inactive, so that fatigue, weight, and health complications distract and hold you back from what you're up to in the world is not the name of the game. What is the name of the game is living a lifestyle that supports you and what you're up to in the world, so that you can crush it, your goals, without getting crushed by that excess stress and fatigue that distracts and holds you back and leads to all kinds of poor lifestyle habits that really become what we call hidden lifestyle challenges. Hidden lifestyle challenges are those underpinnings in your life that, as I said earlier, distract and hold you back. And the number one underpinning in any one of our lives that will distract and hold you back from fulfilling on your true potential is fatigue. So I want to talk a little bit about what crushing it without getting crushed is really all about. Healthy, high-achieving people who thrive, the people that we all strive to be like, the people in the 3%, and I'll talk more about this as we move forward, the people who seem to achieve their goals with their health and well-being intact, right? Their health and well-being intact. These people are people that we admire. They seem to have so much going on, and they seem to be executing so well in their lives. But at the same time, they're not overwhelmed and exhausted in that downward spiral that I talked about earlier. And that is actually the main point. They're not in a downward spiral. Whereas so many of us in the other 97% are. Now, let me explain what a downward spiral is, so you don't think I have some kind of catastrophic thinking bias, because I don't, right? It sounds like a really heavy term, but a downward spiral is when you're overspending your energy. And when you overspend your energy, a low-grade biological fatigue will kick in. And when that kicks in, even if you're really smart about nutrition, fitness, or any aspect of lifestyle that you will learn about in what we refer to as performance lifestyle training, they tend to go awry. Let's use the simplest example, nutrition, right? You could be an expert in nutrition. You could understand how to eat a whole food, nutrient-rich diet to the nines. But the minute you're tired, things start to go by the wayside, right? So crushing it without getting crushed is being able to, is about having a lifestyle that supports you and what you're up to in the world. In other words, if you take your lifestyle and directly link it with your goals in life, which is what athletes do, for example, the way you live is what enables you to achieve your goals, right? So you live in a certain way so that you can function and perform really well. Well, not very many people have that mindset. They wake up to be successful every day, no different than an athlete does, but they live one way and then they end up trying to solve it with another. So let me explain. They attempt to crush their goals every day. From the minute they wake up to the minute they go to bed, they are pushing it. They are putting all the horsepower that they need into being successful. And they're not sleeping well, they're eating poorly, they're not exercising, they don't take breaks. Sun, what's that for? They're in a box. They get in a box, drive to a box, and stare into a box all day long. And they're out there crushing their goals, but they're getting crushed because their biological needs are not getting met in the process. And when your needs are not getting met into the process, you're living one lifestyle and then you have to solve it with another. So then you go take your eyes off the prize and you're focused on what all the books will teach you about health and wellness, because you're trying to solve a lifestyle that's not supporting you with a lifestyle that will support you. Except you're not really getting into a new lifestyle. You're just trying to improve your existing one which is faulty to begin with. Now, don't get me wrong. I completely understand the demands of modern life. I understand how challenging it can be. And I understand that basically the modern day market is literally crazy. It'll keep you busy 24/7. Very few people are actually looking out for you, are looking out for your needs. Classic example is corporate America, which will tell you need to get 8 hours of sleep, yet they want you working 16 hours, right? I'm exaggerating there a little bit, but it's not uncommon for you to be working 12 to 14 hours if you factor in travel in a typical corporate job. You get home, there's like no buffer zone, and then you're supposed to go straight to sleep, which would be the only way that you would actually get 8 hours of sleep, which would really be 8 total hours in bed and actual sleep of about 6 hours. So the system, 6.5, maybe 7 at best after you wind down and, maybe get up to go to the bathroom and, do other things that might disrupt you during the night. I have a 2-year-old and I know that you can get disrupted pretty often. So in other words, the whole system feels like it's jerry-rigged against us. And all this health and wellness information that we're learning just has to get wedged in somewhere, but it doesn't really fit. But that's the reason why we teach what's called a performance lifestyle. It's not just about nutrition. It's not just about fitness. It's really primarily about how you manage your energy so that you can achieve your goals. And it's not something you just get into overnight. It's something that you have to develop. But when we isolated all the fundamentals of a performance lifestyle, we realized that you need to be like a systems thinker when you're into a performance lifestyle. You start tweaking up like a guitar. You tweak up the E string and then the D string and the A string and the other strings. I'm not sure if I got that right, but you get the idea. When you're tuning something up, you've got to tune up the whole system. You start somewhere and then you start building tuning up the rest. As one thing gets trued up, then another thing can get trued up, then another thing can get trued up. And we basically begin to learn how to optimize the way we live. And that's what we teach in performance lifestyle training. Now, that's the new model, optimizing your lifestyle for energy, health, and performance. Whereas the old model is you're living one lifestyle, which is a lifestyle that's completely caught up. You got so much going on, you're barely hanging on. And then you try to wedge in a little bit from the latest health and wellness magazine into your life. And then you end up getting caught up in a whole bunch of minutia. And, dietarily speaking, for example, you might get caught up in, manipulating your diet macros, carbohydrate, fat, and protein, just so you can lose weight, which is really just dealing with the symptom of a lifestyle that's causing the overweight condition to begin with. And that becomes a real challenge because you're never really solving the original problem. You're still living a lifestyle that's one way and trying to solve it with another, but you're really not really changing your lifestyle. You're just fixing the symptoms, and you're not even really fixing the symptoms. You're just palliating those symptoms, and things perpetually get worse and worse and worse. So when you're getting into a lifestyle that supports you and what you're up to in the world, that enables you to crush it without getting crushed under excess stress, pain, and fatigue, which then leads to a whole slew of poor lifestyle habits, even if you know better, you got to actually get into a new lifestyle. You've got to actually take those two lifestyles that you're living and collapse them into one, so that you got one aligned performance lifestyle that's optimized for energy, health, and performance, such that, and this is the motivating factor, you can achieve even your most ambitious goals while living in balance with vibrant health and peace of mind. Now, that may sound completely over the top, and you might say, hey, well, living in balance, what in the heck does that mean? Is that like work-life balance? Well, work-life balance is an aspect of balance. But when we talk about balance, we're talking about having all the skill sets necessary such that you know what to do. Lifestyle skill sets, I might add. So that you know what to do, why you're doing it, how and when to do it at the right level, the right intensity and consistency for you, which is an idiosyncratic individualized thing where you know your situation so well, where you are to where you want to go and where you want to be, and you know what to do, when and how to do it, right? Why you're doing it, which is a big motivating factor, right? Thinking like an athlete, you live the way you do so that you can function and perform well, and then doing so at the right level, intensity, and consistency for you. You're not like going on a weight loss program or going on a fitness program that's one size fits all, trying to do it to the nines where it doesn't fit into the situation and circumstances of your life. In a performance lifestyle, the primary idea is to understand your present situation so well that you can then live in balance, meaning you apply the right balance of skills to your situation and circumstances so that you can achieve your goals with vibrant health and peace of mind, right? The whole motivating factor is that you don't wake up to live in balance with vibrant health and peace of mind. You wake up to achieve your goals, whether they be ambitious or not. The people we typically target in a performance lifestyle are the high achievers, the people who are driven, the people who, at least have some modicum of vision in their life, and they're compelled to wake up to be successful every day. But these are the people that overspend their energy on a daily basis. In other words, most who are not yet at the high achiever level, right, where they're actually achieving their goals, don't typically have the supports that they need to succeed. So what gets thrown by the wayside? It's recovery. They're in an all-out, I don't know, entrepreneurial war or professional, battle that they're fighting every day. They go out there to make it happen, yet they don't get the recovery that they need. And that brings up the next point I want to focus on in this podcast, which is once you stop living two ways, meaning living one way and trying to solve it with another, you've got to focus on managing your energy. Now, I could, like a year from now, after you've listened to 50 podcasts, you could have learned everything from so many people on, health and wellness and performance and productivity and all these different elements. And you would know a lot of stuff about a lot of stuff. But I can pretty much assure you that if you know a lot of stuff about a lot of stuff and you don't have the energy tomorrow to wake up and, attempt to crush it, right? You're going to get crushed under excess stress and pressure, because small moles become mountains when you don't have a lot of energy. You just don't have the capacity to handle the everyday stresses. And I think we all agree that in today's day and age, we have ceaseless, relentless stress bearing down on us. We're all living in a petri dish that is 24/7. It's a performance culture today. And we have ceaseless, relentless stress. I mean, just from the communications coming into your iPhone, managing your desktop. This isn't even just these two items alone, keeping your iPhone and your desktop in working order. If you have kids, that is ceaseless and relentless. All the things you need to do for work, probably ceaseless and relentless. What you're up to in the world, trying to live in this age of better where you're trying to keep up, not necessarily with the Joneses, but, there's a certain, cachet. There's a certain way of being in our modern day society that you kind of want to fit in, right? I'm not saying that you're as I said earlier, you're trying to keep up with the Joneses per se, but there's certain basic needs and basic necessities that you want to have met, and a lot of wants that you want to have met. And it's ceaseless and relentless. We live in a capitalistic country. We've got a society that is, always offering something new almost every day. So we've got all these different layers of consumerism that are constantly going on. So we're in a constant state of accomplishing things and achieving things. It basically never ends. Unless, of course, you get your basic needs met to a certain degree and you set boundaries around, hey, this is how I want to live my life, right? Whatever level that may be. But the point is that you could stay busy 24/7, 7 days a week, and barely dent the access to information and opportunity that one has in their life. Now, that comes at a cost. Now, if you're a machine, which I guess you could say you're a biological machine, but if you're a machine, machines don't have vital energy. They need gas and they have a battery per se, but most just have gas and oil. Biological machines, including machines like cars, have batteries, and you need batteries, all right? So, but human beings rely on that battery even more so than the car does. We're essentially batteries. A human being, a body, has the properties of a battery. And if it were simply just a matter of fueling that body constantly, you would basically never run out of energy, because Lord knows we don't have a shortage of food. We've got access to so much food that we actually overconsume. And of course, we store all those excess calories on our body that we don't use. But it's not simply, we're not using those calories simply because we're overeating. We're overeating largely because we get tired. And human bodies get tired very, very easily. In other words, I think the stats, last I learned them, were about 6 hours of peak energy in a day. After that, you can still be productive, but you're not going to be at peak. And then, of course, once you get through those buffer periods where you're less productive, maybe more creative, you've got sleep time, which is regenerative period. But when you're working 14 to 16 hours a day, and when I say working, I don't necessarily mean you're at work. I mean you've got energy output 14 to 16 hours per day. Travel, work, family, kids, life, everything all added in. And during that time period, it's ceaseless and relentless with very few breaks. You run into obstacle number 2, which is, let's assume you now collapse the way you live into one way. You're in perfect alignment. You got a lifestyle that's supporting you and what you're up to in the world. Then your next most important thing is you've got to optimize your lifestyle for energy. Energy is primo. You can't be an energy output all day long and expect that you are not going to be tiring out, wearing out, burning out, and likely, if you take it out far enough, dying out prematurely. Because once you tire out the body, all function begins to decline. So mental function. And if mental function declines, I can pretty much assure you your emotional, right, the way you feel is going to decline, which is going to then affect your physical habits and behaviors, right? Because you don't have the clarity. You start suffering from mental fog, right? Which is really body fog, because you're starting to tire down, right? The whole body goes into a fog, not just your brain. When's the last time you were in mental fog, but your body felt incredibly vital? That doesn't happen. But we often call it, like cognitive fatigue. No, it's total body fatigue. You just feel it mentally because your brain uses a huge percentage of your energy. So your brain starts to feel really tired. Now, if that's all going on and you don't have enough energy to go into the day, but yet you just completed a Tony Robbins seminar or took the greatest course in the world that's going to help you improve your lifestyle, but you're tired, how well is that lifestyle optimization going to go? Probably not that well. So it's this sort of cybernetic loop of you've got to have the energy to improve your lifestyle to achieve your goals, which is the purpose of your lifestyle. The primary purpose of your lifestyle is to achieve your goals. You've got to have the energy to improve your lifestyle to achieve your goals, which then reinforces the whole loop. You achieve your goals, then you've got more money to fair trade for space and time, which then gives you more energy. You have some more buffer period. You're not working 14 to 16 hours, and you can optimize your lifestyle even better. Even if you're rich, you can optimize your lifestyle even better and achieve your goals even better at a higher level because you can afford more support, and it becomes an upward spiral, right? So spiraling up is the name of the game in a performance lifestyle. But most of us, as I said earlier, are spiraling down because we're on the wrong side of these dynamics. So not only are we living two different lives, two parallel tracking lifestyles, achieving is our one lifestyle, striving, right? Trying to achieve our goals. And then, when the symptoms hit, we then wedge in a little bit of this and a little bit of that, right? But if you collapse those, now have one lifestyle, your primary objective is to make sure that you manage your energy, because you've got to keep your energy high. I'm not saying you're never going to tire out, but you don't want to get to that place where you burn out and wear out. That's when life becomes really difficult. That's when you're getting crushed. You're trying to crush it in the world, but you're getting crushed under the excess stress that's resulting in pain and fatigue. And actually, if I'm being accurate, it's more like fatigue and then pain, right? The buildup of fatigue over time leads to pain, back pain, shoulder pain, neck pain, right? Depends where you're susceptible in your body. And that doesn't even factor in if you have an injury. So you don't want to get exhausted. Exhaustion and fatigue once they become constant, or, in a more, I guess, scientific sense, or diagnostic sense, becomes chronic, then you've got a major, major problem. And I promise you, nutrition and exercising and even thinking positive will not solve that problem, because what you've done is you've put yourself under so much stress that your body is not producing as much energy, and you're damaging the body. Like if I take a battery and I drop it and then I put it back on the charger, this is a rechargeable battery I'm talking about, you've compromised the machinery that is required to do the recharging, right? So to me, the number one reason why you want to take care of your body is because that is the battery. So you don't want to compromise your cellular function and your health, because then even when you do get 8 solid hours of sleep, your body's been compromised in so many ways that it prevents you from recharging fully anyway. But back to the main point, you need a lot of energy to live what we refer to as a performance lifestyle. A performance lifestyle is we use the word performance, and sometimes that might think, oh my God, does that mean I'm always going to be going? If I use the term high performance lifestyle, which I'm also known for, does that mean I'm always performing at a high level and I can never stop? No, it's quite the contrary. When you're living a performance lifestyle, you're proactive around every aspect of your lifestyle. That includes sleep, rest, recovery, relaxation, meditation, rejuvenation, the way you eat, the way you move, exercise and train, the way you manage your schedule, the way you do every aspect of the lifestyle, the way you think, the way you play your game, right? Everything, how you serve, everything is optimized for not only effectiveness, but for efficiency. But it's all organized around managing your energy. I mean, I would never, in a high performance lifestyle, the reason why you're a high performing person is because you're not trying to perform at peak all week. Those people are what we call performance addicts. These are people who crush it, and they perpetually get crushed under excess stress and fatigue. And then they rely on pills, powders, potions, hormones, stimulants of every kind. They just keep going and going and going, and society pats them on the back and goes, oh, wow, look at Joe. He's awesome. My God, super T, right? Look at Tony. He's got so much energy. He can keep going. Wow, Superman. Wow. God, I would love to be like him. Boundless energy. Listen, that's all bullshit, right? Even the highest performing people I know can only keep that up for a certain period of time. And what you see, when you see the game face on, or when you see them in action, you don't see the other 24 hours of the cycle. And if they try to keep that up for too long, performance addicts, they almost always hit the wall. They burn out, and they trade their health for success. It's inevitable. There's very, very, very few people. I learned from my friend Brian Johnson. He said that actually Brian Johnson was talking about Why We Sleep, the book. It's a absolutely fantastic book by Matthew Walker, and he said your chances of being someone who can really perform at peak, right, all day and sleep less than 6 hours is you have a better chances of getting struck by lightning. I mean, it's near zero. You are not one of those people. Yet there's this, this whole sleep when I'm dead, live while I'm alive thing that Bon Jovi, who's one of my favorite artists, if not my favorite. But it became a sort of meme that people kind of live by in a way because it seems heroic, and it's not. It's an addiction, and it doesn't work. I guarantee you, John Bon Jovi doesn't live that way either. But these people who claim that they sleep less than 6 hours or 4 hours, they're burning out and trading their health for success. And unless they're a complete anomaly, you're not one of those people. Unless you are a complete anomaly, you are not one of those people. And as you'll learn in lifestyle, everyone's situation and circumstances are different. So, if you're able to jet set around the world and you've got, a staff of, 200 people supporting you all day, I assure you, you will look like you can take on the world. But if you're like the average person who almost doesn't even have an executive assistant and they're trying to keep up with all the things they've got to do during the day, chances are pretty good you're going to be tired and fatigued. That's the reason why fatigue is such a big issue in today's world. So in a performance lifestyle, right, which I also talk about in terms of high performance, which is a lifestyle, performance is a lifestyle. If you want to crush it without getting crushed, you have got to keep your eyeball on your energy. This is paramount. Lose that and everything else, all human functions begin to dissipate. And while you might be able to pull it off for short periods of time, you're not going to be able to pull it off for long. All right, so I want to bring up a third idea that we refer to when talking about crushing it without getting crushed. And that is optimizing your lifestyle. So you get your lifestyle, integrated where you're living one way, not two. You're not living in a way that causes a problem and then try to solve it in a fragmented way with another lifestyle that you haven't really fully stepped into, where you've got your feet, on two sides of the fence, but you're not really the fence yet, right? You're just on both sides of it and you're ambivalent. All right, so you get one integrated lifestyle. You prioritize energy at the highest levels. Then it becomes a function of optimizing your lifestyle. In other words, in order to keep that energy high, which starts with sleep per se, right? And it could go even deeper by resolving some issues of the past, right, which are bearing down on you that you can and that are not in your they're not present to you. They're not actually happening now, but you're living in the past. So that's the only exception here. And that's outside the scope of this call, but I did want to bring it up, that you can have a lot of things going on for you that are draining your energy, that are not actually happening in the present, but are being experienced in the present because they're consequences from the past, right? But typically getting enough energy to get through the day doesn't start there. It starts with things like sleep. Sleep is the bedrock. But in order to get sleep, it sounds so easy. Hey, just go get more sleep so that you can crush it without getting crushed. That's what's called a directive. That's a directive statement. I could say eat better, exercise more, get more sleep, be happy. These are end game directives. That doesn't tell you the etiology or etymology of how you do that. It doesn't actually teach you the principles, the practices, or the strategy. It doesn't actually build the lifestyle habits and routines that enable you to do that. There's a lot more to lifestyle than meets the eye. And if you want to crush it without getting crushed, you've got to master your lifestyle or live what we call a performance lifestyle so that you can be that high-performing person that you want to be. You've got to optimize all aspects of your lifestyle. Now, when I say aspects of lifestyle, you might immediately default to nutrition and fitness, because when people think lifestyle, and maybe get more sleep, when people think lifestyle, that's what they think. They think that's lifestyle and everything else is, I guess, part of lifestyle, but they just don't think in those terms. So aspects of lifestyle, the way you eat and the way you move are certainly aspects of lifestyle. I would say they're, pretty fundamental and pretty essential aspects of lifestyle, but there's a whole slew of other skills, fundamentals of successful living, as we call them, that enable you to do those things, right? So sleeping, eating, and moving are core to the physical body being able to thrive, right? I'm not saying that these are the only core essentials. There's a bigger, broader set of core essentials. Matter of fact, I think all aspects of performance lifestyle are the core essentials of life. But in this particular case, this is the health trinity that most people are used to. They're used to thinking in terms of food, fitness, and sleep. And sleep is really only in the last, I don't know, maybe 10 years that it really started becoming popular to talk about. And I think that's because we're living in a performance culture, and even the performance addicts are realizing, hey, wait a second. I can't keep going like this. I mean, sleep is really important. In other words, everyone's having a sort of come to Jesus experience where they're saying, hey, I can't really keep this up. The pace of the culture is moving so fast that I can't really keep up with it. So you've got to learn the other skills, the other fundamentals of successful living that enable you to eat, move, and sleep at the levels that you need to, right? These are the fundamentals of successful living, as we like to call them. Now, everything that's needed for you to manage your energy, stay healthy, and function and perform at high levels are built into the fundamentals. You want to build your life on and around the fundamentals if you want to crush it without getting crushed. But I assure you, right? So these are the different aspects of lifestyle. And when you do that, you can apply your newfound energy and health, which is you're no longer distracted and held back because you don't have health problems and you're not suffering from fatigue and pain, right? And you're able to function and perform well because you've structured your life, your lifestyle, and your goals. That's what healthy, high-achieving people who thrive actually do, right? When you're living a performance lifestyle, you now apply the skills that you learn so that you can live in balance with vibrant health and peace of mind, which, as I explained earlier, is knowing what to do, when to do it, how and why to do it, why you're doing it at the right level, intensity, and consistency for you so that you can get your needs met in the process of achieving your goals. You can't just keep your focus on your goals all the time and eat whatever, drink whatever, exercise whenever, sleep if ever, and think that you're going to be successful, and if you are, sustainably successful for long. Because once human function begins to deteriorate, it tends to bring all things down with it. It's like links in a chain. Once one link goes, the others go with it. Right? So you get caught up in a vicious cycle, let's say overspending your energy, and before you know it, every other aspect of your lifestyle starts to go awry because you just don't have the capacity to do it. So basically in this podcast, I've covered three things. You want to live one lifestyle, not two. You want that lifestyle to be based on the fundamentals of successful living. Two, you want to make sure that you optimize that lifestyle around energy, right? About maintaining high levels of energy. And three, you want to optimize that lifestyle, right? So in other words, you need to learn the performance lifestyle principles, practices, and strategy in order to, know what to do, why and how to do it, and when to do it at the right level, intensity, and consistency for you. This is what healthy, high-achieving people do. They've set their life structure up, and they've optimized their lifestyle, and they've gotten both of those factors in alignment with their goals. And that's the reason why they're able to do what so many other people just can't seem to do. We admire these people, but we're like, my God, how do they do it? Well, I basically just gave you the answer. Where does this start? Where do you get started in all this? You get started in this by getting your energy back. You've got to, if you've been inspired by anything you've heard in this podcast, the first thing you want to do, and you're not doing it right now. In other words, you don't feel like you're in the flow of doing that, and I wouldn't expect that you would be because very few people actually teach lifestyle today. They teach aspects of lifestyle or subsets of aspects of lifestyle, like nutrition, but maybe even just one nuance of nutrition. And we live these fragmented lives where our brains are all over the place. We're not in flow because we don't know how to execute really well, because we're learning all this information from all these different angles and perspectives, and this person's making more out of it than it needs to be, and this person's less. It depends on what they're selling, and we never really connect the dots on all the fundamentals of successful living that make us executable, as I like to call it, right? where we can be in that position where we're skilled enough and experienced enough where we know what to do, why we're doing it, how and when to do it at the right level, intensity, and consistency that is right for us, our situation and circumstances, so that we can get our needs met while attempting to crush it, right? While crushing it, while achieving our goals, right? And therefore doing so without getting crushed under excess stress, pain, and fatigue, because our lifestyles are not supporting us and what we're up to in the world, right? So, that's really what we're aiming to have to offer people in the world. We want to get them out of this fragmented way of life. We want to get them out of spending 20 years just learning how to eat. Because, this is the reason why I think people roll their eyes back when it comes to lifestyle, right? They don't understand that it's the elephant in the room. It's the central theme of our lives, right? There's a story where you've got, 5 blind men, and they're all, blind. And they come up to this mass that's standing in front of them, and one person is touching one piece and says, "Wow, this looks like a hose." And another person, hits this structure, and it feels like it's a shell. And another person, comes up from behind it unknowingly and puts their hand in a place that, is wet and moist, and says, "Wow, I think this is, I don't know, seaweed. I don't know," right? So, and another person says, "Wow, this skin is really rough, and wow, this thing is in a drought. Probably needs water. Feels like skin of some sort." So everyone's touching this mass from a different angle, but nobody actually knows what it is, and it's an elephant. But because they can't see it as a whole, they completely miss what it actually is. So one person's learning about trunks, another person's touching the anus, and another, person's touching the toenail, and another person's touching the skin, and so forth. But no one really knows what it is. And that's kind of what lifestyle is like today. And, in a performance culture where you're kept blind in a lot of regards, and then you're kept constantly going in another regard, and you can understand why people are tired all the time and they're struggling with all these symptoms like fatigue and weight and health issues, because they never really establish fundamentally sound lifestyles where they understand the whole equation of what lifestyle means. They don't see their lifestyle in the context of their lives, which is the way in which they achieve their goals and live, right? It's your standards, your principles, practices, and strategy for how you live your life, which includes how you work, ultimately is what delivers your success and your quality of life. But very few of us have a complete picture of that, and that's what we of course aim to deliver in performance lifestyle training, right? If you just think that you're just going to learn nutrition or you're just going to learn fitness, you're sure to come up short, right? Because there's way more to this equation. If you want to crush it without getting crushed by excess stress and fatigue, you've got to optimize all aspects of your lifestyle. So one lifestyle, not two. Optimize your lifestyle for energy, and then actually, I should say, keep your focus on maximizing your energy levels, and then to do that, optimize your lifestyle. And those are the 3 big secrets that underlie your ability to crush it without getting crushed by excess stress and fatigue. So let's finish up this podcast by, ask yourself a question. What would you do if you didn't constantly run out of energy? Would you dream bigger? Would you go for more in your life? Would you attempt more in your life if you knew you wouldn't run out of energy? I'm not saying you'd be challenge free, because you're obviously, problems is a good thing, right? These are things that are fueling your forward growth, right? These are the, you should be pro challenges in a way, because that's what fuels your growth. That's what a problem actually is. But here's the thing. happens when you run out of energy. Those problems become hard to surmount. And what happens if the way you're living is causing distractions that are holding you back? Are you really going to stay focused on your dreams? Are you really going to stay focused on your goals? Are you really going to keep moving forward? No. The opposite, as I learned from a coach and mentor of mine, Brian Johnson, the opposite of prosperity is despair. And a lot of us get caught up in that. And nowhere does despair get worse than when you're tired and you're not moving forward the way you want to, and you don't have that vision ahead. You've kind of lost your agency and you don't have a clear path, right? Like, in other words, your confidence to be able to get it done, and you don't have a clear path to get it done, and you're tired at the exact same time. Well, what if that was not going to be the case for you anymore? What if you were going to clear the deck? What if you were going to put yourself into a position where you were fully executable, where you had the mindset, the lifestyle mindset and skill set to move forward in a position of strength, so that you could spiral up and get off the spiral down that affects so many people unknowingly today, thinking it's just aging? We're going to show you how to do that when we, or we're going to start the process, I should say, right? I'd be promising too much if I said that, when we talk, and when I do the crush it without getting crushed talk for 45 minutes, we deliver on that, because that takes time. But there is a simple, clear path in order to be able to do that, once you get that alignment and your lifestyle is based on the fundamentals of successful living. But when we do this talk called Crush It Without Getting Crushed, which is coming up, right? Whether it's a webinar that you're learning from me, or you're at one of our talks at Regina Center. We've got one, if you're local, coming up in a few weeks on September 16th. If you're listening to that, where does it all start? It starts by getting free of the excess stress of the past. When I'm talking about crushing it without getting crushed, wherever you learn about this idea from me, the thing you want to understand is that to really move forward in a position of strength in your life, you've got to spend at least a little time up front. How do I say this? You've got to spend some time recovering from the excess stress of the past. Let me say that again. Recovering from the excess stress of the past. In other words, it's hard to get that new juice, the new mojo, the new bright outlook, right? To work out your strategy of how you're moving forward when you're tired, and when you're dealing with all of the downward spiral complications and little vicious cycles that you're dealing with, caused primarily by the fact that you've been overexerting in the past. What I want to suggest for you as a big takeaway, wherever you are right now, I want you to stop and say, you know what? Recovery is my thing. Now you might say, well, recovery, that's for drug addicts, for winos and pill poppers. No. If you don't get the kind of recovery I'm talking about, you will become a wino and a pill popper. All right, you will become a drug addict because you'll be trying to want to make yourself feel better from a condition that you can't quite put your finger on, but is distracting and holding you back. And that thing is fatigue. So you've got to recover. If you want to make a change in your life, if you want to transform your life, you've got to transform your lifestyle. If you want to transform your lifestyle, you've got to get your energy back. If you want to get your energy back, you've got to focus on recovery. And you got to start building in recovery. We use two terms for this: regeneration and recovery. All right? You've got to start building these into your life. Matter of fact, you've got to build your entire lifestyle around regeneration and recovery, first and foremost. And of course, that includes, things like sleep, etc. But I happen to run what's called a Regina Center. A Regina Center is an actual physical location. I have our premier facility is in Florham Park, New Jersey, where we teach people how to recharge, restore, and reactivate their bodies. One of the first things we do is we teach people how to make what we call a regeneration transformation. Regeneration transformation If I say a regeneration transformation, that is a thing. It's a period of time. But in effect, you're learning regeneration transformation. In other words, it's an ongoing process. You can pull yourself out of almost any hole, any gutter, any, stuck point by making a regeneration transformation. In other words, recovering from some of the excess stress of the past, getting your energy back, and approaching whatever it is you're up to from a position of strength, not from a position of tiredness and fatigue. So this is where you start. Where you start right now, I realize I'm saying a whole lot in a short period of time, but what I'm saying right now is make sure that you focus on that first. Power up before you're going to spiral up. This is John Allen Mollenhauer. My friends call me John Allen or Jam. This is the Performance Lifestyle Like a Pro podcast. I look forward to many future episodes with you. I hope you got a lot out of this. Please leave a comment in the comment section below. And I look forward to seeing you and hearing from you at one of our upcoming Crush It Without Getting Crushed talks, webinars, in-person events. Because once you learn how to crush it without getting crushed, you will be well on your way to living a performance lifestyle. Talk to you soon.